This video will show you how to create a Gantt chart using Microsoft Project. Once you have opened Microsoft Project, click on Blank Project. You will now enter this interface. On the left side, you need to key in some data about your project. So a project has many tasks, so you need to key in each of these tasks and the duration of each task. And on the right side, your Gantt chart will appear automatically. Now, we go back to the problem statement. So you're supposed to create a Gantt chart for the first 16 tasks, right? So what I'm going to do is to copy the description for task number 1 to task number 16 and Control C to copy and come back to my Microsoft project, and over here, click on Control V to paste the task descriptions. Now, what happens over here is by default, if I press 2 under duration, it's in number of days, right? But this is not what we want, so I'm going to delete that away, right? All our duration, if you look at your problem statement, it's in terms of weeks. So we're going to change the duration to weeks. To do that, go to File, Options, go to Schedule, and then under duration is entered in. So instead of days, you can change that to weeks. And then press OK. So now if I key in the number 2, right, the duration is going to be 2 weeks, right? So, and correspondingly, you'll see a blue bar that appears, right? So this bar, right, so today it's the 25th of June. So if I start my project on the 25th of June, 2 weeks later, it will end on 8th of July. So, but what we have over here, I'm going to delete the duration. But instead, I'll take in the duration for task 1 to task 16 over here. So again, highlight the entire thing and paste the duration here. All right, so you see all my duration, 0 weeks, 3 weeks, 12 weeks, so on. It's all pasted here, right? And each of these duration is indicated using these bars over here, right? So now the next thing you want to do is to key in the start date of the project. So if you look at your problem statement, the earliest project start date, so the earliest you can start is 3rd of August, right? So typically for a project, we start with the first task, right? So we are going to key in 3rd of August over here, task number 1, right? So press enter. And because it's 0 weeks or 0 days, it's going to start and end on the same day over here, right? So the schedule mode will be manually scheduled for the first task, right? For subsequent tasks, I'll come back to the start and finish dates later, but I want to talk about the next column so you can adjust this divider in the center, right? You can see there's a predecessor. So likewise in your problem statement, for example, for task number 8, you see that there is a predecessor number 5, 6, and 7. So what it simply means is that you must complete task number 5, 6, and 7 before you can start task number 8 over here. So likewise, I'm just going to copy the predecessors for all the 16 tasks, except the first one, because the first task has no predecessor. So I'm going to start copying from task number 2 to task number 16, all the predecessors. And you see the task number is over here, right? So over here, I started copying from task number 2. So the predecessors, I'm going to paste into task number 2 here, right? And then, right? So once I've pasted this, if you look at your Gantt chart, nothing has changed, right? So what you want to do next is under the task mode, instead of manually schedule, you want to change it to automatically schedule, right? So for example, right, task number 2 and task number 3, right, automatically scheduled. And for task 2 and task 3, their predecessors are task 1. So the moment task 1 finish on 3rd August, right, task 2 and task 3 can begin, right? And task 4, right, predecessor is task number 2, which is this one over here, right? So task 2 ends on 21st August. So if you automatically schedule it, right, so the next time task 4 can begin, right, it's on 24th of August, which is, if you don't count the weekends, right? So automatically Microsoft Project doesn't count the weekend. So if task 2 ends on 21st August, right? Task 4 can only begin on 24th of August because you need to wait for task 2 to finish first. So likewise, right, instead of changing one by one to automatically scheduled, you can actually click on one, hold down the shift key, and then select all the way to the end, right? So all of them will be selected and click on auto schedule over here under task, right? And you'll notice all the start and finish dates will be filled in for you. Now, what happened to our Gantt chart? Why is it missing, right? Because simply we are now looking at August, right? The period is August, September, and October, November, and so on, right? But our calendar here is beginning June. So to do that, right click on the calendar, and then click on Zoom, and then select entire project, right? Select entire project and press OK. So there you have it. The Gantt chart is actually generated for you automatically based on the duration. So each bar will tell you the duration of a certain task. And then the arrows will tell you, right? So for example, task number 8, right? So task number 8 needs a predecessor of 5, 6, 7. So task number 5 is this one, right? So task number 5, the moment it ends, it goes to task number 8. Task number 6, it ends, go to task number 8. And task number 7, right? When it ends, go to task number 8. So you see there are 3 arrows going into task number 8 over here, right? So this is the Gantt chart for the entire project. So end of the day, you can tell the project is going to end by this time, right? February in 2021 on the 12th February. So another thing I wanted to show you is if you drag your divider further, right, you can add a new column and then select % complete, right? So what you can do is, for example, once a task is completed, you can key in, for example, 100%, and then you know that you can control your project task, right? You know what is the status of each of these tasks, right? So if you complete, you can key in, right? So there's this blue bar in the middle, right? If it's 50%, right, you'll just be halfway through, you know, this darkened blue bar, right? So you can actually add in a new column, right, for % complete, and also key in the status of every task. So this is how we create a Gantt chart using Microsoft Project and how we track the status.